You're listening to the Black Eagles podcast.
Let's talk some football. Let's focus ourselves a little bit. And I'll try to be quick about it. You know, this is our year-end episode, so I'm going to try to talk a little bit about my player of the year, my match of the year, and then I'll set up goal of the year. I haven't decided on my goal of the season yet, but I'll put that to the audience as well. Yeah. Let's talk football. Let's dig in. So, of course, first of all, I've got to talk about Konyaspor, which was our last league match of the season. Of the year, sorry. The season's not even close to done. But yeah, our last league match of the season, up against Konyaspor in Konya. I was on the air talking about how this would be a really tough match. Playing in Konya is never easy.
Operation is in effect as of right now.
Now, Konya is having a really good year too. You know, it's not just their home form this time around. Quickly, it's probably worth mentioning, in our last 20 matches, Beşiktaş had won 9, 7 draws, and Konyaspor won 6. So this is actually far more even of a series than many of the ones we've done this head-to-head analysis with other sides in the Super League. So, you know, Konya is kind of a boogeyman for us. They have the ability to be a challenge, and I wouldn't be surprised if most of those wins and draws came in Konya. It's a place that everyone struggles in, to be honest. They have a real fan base, for better or worse. They're kind of jerks, but that's another story. Let's dig into the lineup, I suppose, right? For us, not much in the way of a surprise, I don't think. Ersin Destanoglu started in the goal. Javi Montero next to Domagoj Vida on the back line. I mean, there's one surprise perhaps, seeing Montero. Umut Meraş on the right side. As we all know, Rosier was suspended for the match. And Necip is injured. So we got creative there. Ridvan Yilmaz on the left side. Miralem Pjanic and Joseph de Souza in the back with Ozan slightly set up ahead of them. Kyle Larin on the left side. Rashid Ghazal on the right. And Mishi Batshuayi up front. For Konyaspor, of course, it's Ibrahim Sehic, the 33-year-old Bosnian goalkeeper, a mainstay in the Super League. I think everyone will know that name. Adil Demirbay, 24-year-old Turk, on their back line, next to, of course, Abdulkerim Bardakci, 27-year-old Turk, a player that Evran, my former co-host, if you recall, wanted us to bring in the off-season, and I kind of co-signed it. I think Khan may have even agreed as well in the end on that one. But anyway, again, a name many will recognize. Additionally, of course, they've got Nate Skubic, 32-year-old Slovenian, Guilherme, 31-year-old Brazilian. In the midfield, Paul Jose Mpoku, 29-year-old Congolese defensive midfielder. Amir Hadziometrovic, 24-year-old Bosnian defensive midfielder. Soner Dikmen, 28-year-old attacking midfielder from Turkey. And then we get to their kind of attack. Konrad Michalak, 24-year-old Polish right winger. And on the other side, Zajmir Bitki, 25-year-old Kosovan, whose name is spelled Bytyqi. Oh, that's my cat. Hello. The kitten. Pamuk speaks. But so, and then finally up front, we have Sokol Sikaleshi, 31-year-old Albanian striker, who, again, a name many will recognize. He's done us dirty in the past. But so yeah, that was it for the lineups, with a guest appearance from my buddy, the little kitten, on duty here. But so yeah, let's dive in, shall we? 5th minute of the match, first real opportunity. Rashid Ghazal with a really nice pass into the path of Ozan, who sort of squares up, takes a shot. It's saved. Not his best effort of all time, but nonetheless, good to see Ozan getting involved, not doing anything silly. Besides that, 36th minute, another opportunity on a free kick from Pjanic from deep on the right side. Sends it up, lots of bouncing around. It finds its way to Mishi Batshuayi, whose ball is sort of weak in the end and is fairly easily saved by Sehic. But yeah, so that was really it for the first half. 2 chances, both to Beşiktaş. Nothing really overwhelming in either direction, if we're going to be 100% honest. But then, boom, second half. And again, slow. 59th minute, Batshuayi. The first real opportunity of the second half, dribbles in from the left side in the way that he does. He's sort of gifted in this particular way, with this particular move. He sort of dribbles it in, does his sort of like shimmy dribble move to a position where he can get a shot from an angle, a tough angle though, which is typically saved. But what it's good for is the potential for it to create a rebound opportunity. In this case, it does exactly that. The shot finds its way to Rashid Ghazal, who's shot the first one. I mean, this should be a goal, frankly. I don't know what kind of piece of it he got, but it was like exactly the kind of angle that would prevent it from going in. Almost any other hit on the ball, and that's a goal. I mean, whatever, it is what it is. It's a sort of rebound, and it's a sort of light volley. He's trying to get some contact on. So I wouldn't say he makes a fool of himself or anything, but he could have put this one away easily, I think. Anyway, it hits the post. Actually finds its way back to him. He uses his head on the second opportunity, going across the goal mouth, and hits the post again. And so we're just at this point unlucky. Sort of like I said, all 3 chances I've mentioned that were actually sort of frightening to Beşiktaş at this point. 75th minute, Joseph, not exactly a chance, but he takes a go from deep. And it's really well placed, perhaps into the top of the goal, except for the fact that Sehic gets up and saves it. And so now 4 chances, all to Beşiktaş. And finally, in the 86th minute, naturally, a chance drops to them. It drops to their Ahmed Hassan. Now, at this point, I have missed out on a number of substitutions and yellow cards. And let me go into those real quick before I dive into the back end of this. Domagoj Vida got a yellow card in the 42nd, and Mpoko got one in the 2nd minute of extra time before the half. Ozan got one on the 56th. In the 59th, Amar Rahmanovic entered the game for Mpoko. Guven Yalcin came in for Kyle Larin in the 68th, and Can Bozdoğan for Ozan Ozyaku. Both of those subs in the 68th minute. I don't think anyone can really fault those subs, to be 100% honest. Both of those guys, Ozan and Larin, wasn't quite their day, to say the least. 77th minute, Endri Çekici enters the match for Bitki. And Ahmed Hassan Koka, I don't know what that's all about, but Ahmed Hassan enters for Sokol Sigaleshi. Atiba for Miralem Pjanic in the 80th. And so then that's how, like I said, in the 86th minute, their first real chance drops to Ahmed Hassan. Ersin does well to save it. And again, just 3 minutes later, and again, like, of course, right? A whole match that we've actually looked good in for much of the match and looked the more likely team to score, and of course just struggled to put the ball in the back of the net, which is something we've really suffered from all year. But, we failed to get in the back of the net. Whatever, it looks like we're going to get out of this with a draw, and then boom, 89th minute, Mihalak sends in a pretty nice cross, I guess. I mean, it forces some action. Ersin has to dive, save it, punch it out. It drops to Skubic on the right side, who sends in a really great cross, honestly. Although, of course, it's behind Ahmed Hassan. But he does really well. Bicycle kick over his head, smashes it in. Not much anyone could have done about it. Perhaps Domagoj Vida letting Mihalak get that first cross in. I mean, he kind of relented, and he could have pressed and, kicked it out for a throw-in or something instead. But beyond that, I didn't really see any individual errors except for just, a bicycle kick. What can you say, right? Like, you can't assume they're going to do that. And so there it is. Boom. They score 1-0. Ahmed Hassan. Game ends in a 6 minute of extra time. Terrible, frankly. Beşiktaş had 54% of the ball to their 46. We had 364 accurate passes there, 281. We completed them at an 82% rate to their 78% rate. We had 2 big chances. They had 0. So that's worth noting. We hit the woodwork twice. In fact, that was Rashid Ghazal twice on one play. But we had 8 shots inside the box. They did 2, actually, but theirs were dinkers, whereas we should have scored on a couple of those. Batshuayi, for starters. Anyway, let's briefly talk about individual stats for the match. First of all, the highest rated players are all Konyaspor players, which is actually interesting to me. And they had some standout performers, all on defense. Amir Hadziametovic, the highest rated. Ibrahim Sehic, pretty close. Skubic, their right back, also up there. Guilherme, who's technically their left back, there. Then Umut Merash, 5th highest rated player and our top rated player. Then Abdulkarim Bardakci, and then finally Ahmed Hassan, whose late substitution was obviously helpful for them. He didn't just score, but created their first real chance right before them as well, or was a part of it with his runs. Then Kyle Larin, because his ratings, I'll look at that because it doesn't make sense to me. Then Ridvan Yilmaz, Soner Dickman, Konrad Michalak, Francisco Montero, Rashid Ghazal, and Joseph de Souza. That's it for anyone above a 7. Why is Kyle Larin rated fairly well for this match? Let's see. Well, he had a shot and 24 accurate passes. His passes completed at a 92% rate. He created 3 chances. That's interesting. Let's see. He was 24 of 26 with his passes. That's remarkable. But I think most of them were really short balls. He had a cross. 40 touches. I mean, so he was fairly present. He won 5 of 9 duels. Yeah, I don't know. 5 recoveries. Nothing really stands out here except obviously for that pass rate. I guess he buffed his stats with creating chances, which we didn't put away. I don't remember the chances he created, if I'm going to be 100% honest. But then also by having a lot of little short passes that upped the rate of success that he enjoyed on the day. But yeah, I would certainly not call him our man of the match. I don't know if I'd say Umut Merash was either, although he did fill in admirably as a right back out of position. I don't know who I would credit with man of the match for this one, if I'm going to be 100% honest. let's just move on. Because we have a whole other match to talk about. Let's talk about it. Let's briefly dive in, if we may. And of course, we're talking about a Super League. No, a domestic cup match against none other than Altay, who is in the Super League, and this is noteworthy. I mentioned it on Twitter, but I think it's probably worth rehashing. If we're going to be 100% honest here, we were the only Super League side to face another Super League side in the cup. I don't know why that was the case. I don't know if it was just the luck of the draw or the lack thereof. But it was sort of marked. I'll quickly go over some of the other matches, right? Kasim Pasha had Kocaelispor. Hatay had Menemenspor. I guess, Antalya and Giresun matched up, but it's not like Antalya won the championship last year or would theoretically be a high seed. Trabzon had Boluspor. Galatasaray had Denizlispor. So the only exception here is Antalya Giresun. And then the next day, Alanya had Mardin Fosfatspor. Fatih Karagümrük had Belediyesi Bodrumspor. Adana Demirspor had Ankaraspor. Göztepe had Samsunspor. Fener had Afjet Afyonspor. Right? And then Yeni Malatya had Bandirmaspor. Kayseri had 68 Aksaray Belediyespor. Konya had Umraniyespor, who were like a feeder club for us for a while there. Sivas had Ankaragucu. Gaziantep had Bursaspor. Remember, Bursa is a league below. So that leaves us with Altay. So that somehow two Super League sort of matchups, if you will. Antalya, Giresun, and Beşiktaş, Altay. Somehow the team that should be like the highest seeded based on results last year, right, gets the most difficult opponent in the 5th round of the cup. Quite bizarre. I'm not speculating a conspiracy here. You assume this was just the draw, but it speaks to the fact that the draw sucks. Clearly the seeding needs to be seeded better if they're doing any at all in the first place. It doesn't make any sense that we would have such tough competition. Other teams get to sort of play young guys and have the opportunity to give kids a chance and see what they've got. We did not have such a luxury. Of course, teams like ours, who are not doing as well as they need to, are looking for success in this cup. And so here we are, not able to sort of fool around and give kids a chance to play because we have to put out a strong side to compete against another fairly strong side in Altay. That's ridiculous, honestly. That was my first problem. I don't know. That's maybe my only problem. It's because I skipped over problems I had with the last match in Konya with refereeing, penalties not given, fouls awarded that shouldn't have been, etc. The ref in our last 3 or 4 matches has just been terrible, and it's becoming such a really just a terrible, leaves a terrible taste in your mouth about the fact that we've actually managed to get fairly decent results in those matches despite it. But anyway, Altay. Here we finally got to see some fun. Ersin Destanoglu, of course, in the goal with Serdar Sachi and Javi Montero on the back line. Umut Merash on the left side. Valentin Rosier on the right. Joseph De Souza in the back of the midfield with Atiba and Ozan up ahead. Guven Yalchin on the left side with Rashid Ghezal on the right and Mishi Batshuayi up top. For Altay, some interesting decisions. Cihan Topaloglu, the keeper, 35-year-old. On the back line, Kali Tiam, 27-year-old Senegalese defender. And Erik Bjorkander, 25-year-old Swede, on the back line for them. Cebrail Karayel, 27-year-old Turk, on the right side of the defense, with Mohammad Naderi on the left side. A name that would be worth remembering later on. He's a 25-year-old Iranian left back. Zeki Yildirim, 30-year-old Turk, in their midfield next to Ceyhun Gülselam, 34-year-old Turk. Up ahead of them is Faciano, 27-year-old Brazilian. On the right side, Leandro Capel, 32-year-old Dutchman. And on the left side, Martin Rodriguez, 27-year-old Chilean, who the A-Sport announcer kept kept saying Maxi Rodriguez, it sounded like. I kept wondering if Maxi Rodriguez had come back, but that was not the case. And then finally, up top, on loan, 23-year-old Egyptian striker Yasser Ryan, who I was not even aware was on their team, if I'm going to be 100% honest. I think he's on loan from Al Ahly to Altay. I don't know how that was sorted out, if that was done recently, and I guess I haven't been following Altay that closely. But anyhow, this was a match much like the Konyaspor one, where there's not a lot of highlights, so this should be quick. 14th minute, Ozan with just a stellar. I mean, he was a little weak in the last match against Konya, if we're going to be honest, after putting in some decent performances. So this was good to see. He came out of the gates on fire. 14th minute, lovely ball right to Batshuayi, who kind of struggles with his first touch, dives in and sort of sends in a wonky shot that's easily saved. Excuse me, another motorcyclist who has something to prove to the world. So yeah, Ozan came out looking good. And that would be pretty much the only first half action that was worth mentioning. No real chances besides that really threatened any keeper. Second half starts, still coming out kind of slow. I mean, this was a sluggish match all around, if we're going to be 100% honest. But with that said, we would see 60th minute, a free kick. This was the actual only first action, the second half that I recall. Free kick by Rashid Ghazal from deep, on the left side, finds Joseph, who actually does well to sort of get himself in an angle to shoot, although not really an advisable shot, except for the fact that it's at a tight angle and he puts enough power on it that it forces a save which he can't hold on to. Topalo, the keeper. So bounces out to Atiba Hutchinson, who slams it in. Atiba still scoring goals. Beşiktaş up 1-0, and there you go. There's some fun. With that said, I don't have access to like the subs that we made, so I don't I don't exactly recall the subs we made in the match. Although I do, I mean Alex Teixeira made an appearance, right? That was good. So we saw some action on the sub front that was kind of nice. I can't remember who else came in. I don't know why I didn't have it. It's not showing up in the app, so the whoever's in charge of the cup didn't send stats in, so I don't have anything to go with here. But yeah, I do recall Alex Teixeira coming in late. Didn't get a lot of time. Didn't do much of anything. But, at least we know he's healthy. He's available again. We'll see what that amounts to, of course, in the end. But so, yeah, finally, 5 minutes later, that Ryan fella who I mentioned, Yasser Ryan, Egyptian, sent in a ball really nicely for someone who I don't recall, who got a shot in. It was just wide. But that was the only real chance for them at the end, except I mentioned Mohamed Naderi. He dribbled up the left side late in the match, got clipped, it looked like, by Valentin Jose in the box. No penalty was awarded, and Naderi got a yellow card for simulation, right, for flopping. Now there's some debate about this. Should he have gotten the card? Should Valentin Jose have been awarded a penalty? Was that a foul on his part? If you look quite carefully, there was actually not much in the way of contact. Naderi really did just, as my friend Yusuf said in a group chat, he did like a swimmer dive, like fully arms out, leg, back straight, fully dove. So I don't think the call was out of line. I think it should not have been a penalty. I think everything's fine. Of course, there's no VAR in the cup. So, for some, perhaps that raises issue, but whatever. It is what it was. We got the win. We're through in the cup. Sorry for not having real stats or even the subs for the match, but whatever, guys. Look, it's New Year's. Let's move things along. Let's be brisk about it. The good news, of course, is that we're on to the next round of the Turkish Cup. It should be interesting to see what comes of it. It's worth noting that Galatasaray is out of the cup, having lost to Denizlispor on penalties. Fener almost taken out by Afyonspor. In extra time, they scored twice. Aside from that, not a ton of surprise results. Let me see here if there's any worth mentioning. Not really. Galatasaray is the one. Bandırmaspor beat Yeni Malatyaspor, which I suppose is pretty interesting. But aside from that, no real surprises. Ankara Gucu Bursa, they didn't even get through past Super League sides. So, we'll have to keep striving for that cup, obviously, because that's, third and fourth only go to the Conference League now. This is the only access to the Europa League. So, if we're not going to be in the top two and we just lost to the second place team vis-a-vis Konyaspor, that's just going to be what it is. Real quickly, let me hand this thing off to Khan for hashtag Khan's Corner. And he has a special New Year's message.
Happy New Year, everybody. By the time you're listening to this, it'll be 2022. And we'll be fastly approaching the winter or the January transfer window, which brings some excitement, I think, although we haven't seen that much going on in terms of rumors. I also don't think that there'll be a lot of movement in terms of transfers, apart from hopefully Cenk Tosun. But of course, appointing a new coach might be on the horizon, although Under Karavelli is doing a decent job so far. I do think that people are exaggerating his contributions a little bit. For the first time in a long time, the team has been relatively complete, except for Alex Teixeira. But he has been doing some good stuff. He's been selecting good lineups, and he's been making the right substitutions more often than not. The past couple of weeks have been at least better than the previous couple of months had been. We of course have the Super Cup coming up in the new year as well, which is for some reason being played in Qatar. So there's some stuff to look forward to. I don't think that this season is ever going to be salvageable, really. Although we did beat Altay yesterday 1-0 at Vodafone Park with a goal from Atiba Hutchinson, which is good. We are going through to the last 16 of the Turkish Cup. Maybe we can successfully defend our title there, at least. In the league, that won't be happening, of course. Trabzonspor is running away with it. We've seen fumbles in the past, but in the past, usually there was at least one team that was clamping on. I don't really see that right now. I think we are just too far back. Even if we would make some good moves in January, with Cenk or maybe Talisca or something crazy, and then a good coach. Even then, I think that we are just too far back to catch up to a very good Trabzonspor side, let's be honest. They've been missing players too to injury. Nwakaem has been out. It was very important for them. They've missing their almost entire defense. It's Guerrier and Vitor Hugo. Those guys are out. So Trabzonspor are dealing with their fair share of injuries as well. Not to the extent that we were dealing with at the beginning of the season, of course. But yeah, just to say that they might drop a little bit of points here and there now, but I really don't see them collapsing. Even with the master of all collapsers, Abdullah Avcı at the helm, I think if you have a comfortable lead, that Abdullah Avcı is a fine coach. I just think that if you're in a trench warfare type of situation where it's close in the last couple of weeks, that Abdullah Avcı is just not going to have the stomach to cope with it. But I think if you're leading with 10 points or more, then he's a fine coach. When we had him at Beşiktaş, we saw early on, we saw very positive signs of him. It wasn't until the pressure started getting to him, and because we didn't really get a couple of wins early on under him, that you just saw that he just couldn't cope with the pressure. And I think that's always going to be the issue for Abdullah. That's what's going to stand between him being a good coach and ever being a great coach, because he's never going to be a great coach just because he can't deal with pressure like that. Doesn't mean that he's tactically and all that not a good coach. But yeah, no, I don't think that there's anything salvageable in terms of the league. But in the cup, maybe we can at least defend there. I did find it quite curious that pretty much everybody seemed to be playing second division teams, whereas the reigning and defending champions had to, or the only team to face another Super League team. At least we played at home, and it was a win against Altay, against an Altay side that's been not in the greatest form in the last month or two. But we beat them, so that's all that matters, really. Let's hope that we can build on this and continue to improve. This wasn't our best game under Caravelle for sure. But, you know, there's been some positive signs. I thought we played well against Konya for 90 minutes. We didn't deserve to lose that game at all, I think. Although we were just too impotent up top. And yeah, the referee just was being an absolute dick. Konyaspor should have had at least a red card, at least one. And it just, yeah, it's one of those games where you get bullied the entire match. They kick you. They stepped on Pjanic's leg they studs in his leg 3 times. 1 yellow card out of the 3. It's like, okay, all right, it's gotta be one of those games, right? And then on the other end, oh, look here, yellow card for you, yellow card for you. Oh, you dare talk back to me? Oh, there you go. Anyway, not gonna talk too much about that. I'm kind of done talking about the referees this season. It's like I don't know, like, I was gonna say Sagan all their mothers, but Sagan's gone, so it must have been somebody else, right? Maybe I'm the Chibis and all their moms. I don't know what's up with that. Sorry for that language, but it's just like, what, 20-something games, and we've gotten 50 of them or something. Like, come on. Yeah, no, 2022. Let's hope we don't get anymore by the refs. Wishful thinking, right? Anyway, I wish you all a very happy new year, and yeah, just keep in mind there's lots of stuff going on. Enjoy Beşiktaş when we win, draw, or lose, but also make sure that you don't go into a mad depression because we're not having a great season. Things will turn around, and we'll have another championship soon enough.
Thank you very much, Khan. And let me now say a few words myself. So, this is our little break. We get a little break now. Our next match is not until January 9th. We're going to be on the road against Rizespor, a side that I think we have to win. I mean, we do have a Super Cup performance to look forward to in Qatar. We'll see, you know, if I cover. I guess I'll cover that. Why not? I don't know. Maybe I'll couple that with the next match, because it's not really. Nobody cares about the Super Cup. Even if we sell it out to Qatar or whatever it is. But so yeah, against Rize, you know, Rize is a side that's really struggling. I don't have to explain that to anyone, I doubt, but I'll mention, I suppose, that Rize is in 17th place now. With 17 points, so they're in that final relegation spot. Altay is just ahead of them with 18 points, so they could get their way out of relegation. They've actually picked things up. You know, they were in the bottom of the relegation table for a long time, but they've gotten some results in recent weeks. I'll go back to November 5th, where they actually seemed to turn things around. They beat Konyaspor 2-0. Then they lost to Konya in Konya 3-0. No surprise there, right? Then they came home, beat Kayserispor 1-0. Lost in the Turkish Cup to Ankaraspor, so that was a surprise result for them. Lost to Fener in Istanbul 4-0. But then again, came back home, beat Göztepe 3-1, went to Yeni Malatya, won 1-0, went to Sivas, which is always a tough place to play, got a 1-1 draw. But then finally in this last match on December 26th, the day after Christmas, they lost to Gaziantep at home. So that sort of undid a lot of the progress they'd been making. Still though, a big turnaround for them. They were really, like I said, on the bottom of the bottom. I have been speaking sort of negatively about them all season up until now. So this is a change, and of course, just in time for their match against us, right? Woohoo! I guess it is probably worth mentioning that we've already played them once this season. And if you want to know the result, it shouldn't surprise you that this was one of our few good results. We beat them early on in the season, 3-0. Nkudu scored, Atiba Hutchinson, and then Kyle Laren in extra time. So, obviously, we're going to hope to simulate that kind of a result. They're a much better side at this stage of the season, though. There can be no doubt about that. Let's hope for the best. The Super Cup is on Wednesday, January 5th, by the way, against Antalyaspor. That's at 12:45 here in New York City. Check your local listing. It's going to be in Qatar. I think I'll probably couple that with the Rizespor match. Take a little break myself for the new year. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how busy I am. The real match that we're concerned with, of course, is Sunday, January 9th at 11 a.m. Check your local listings. That's my time here in New York, 11 a.m. We're going to be on the road against Rizespor. We're going to need that result. Supposedly, Under Karaveli's job is depending on this result against Antalyaspor in the Super Cup, which is weird to me because I personally don't care about that at all. I think the Konyaspor results turned a lot of people off of Under Karaveli. He is no longer undefeated. But with that said, so what? Going to Konya is never easy. We knew this was not going to be an easy match to begin with. We actually played one of our best matches in Konya in a long time. We looked good. We looked, again, I don't want to belabor the point, but the first 4 sort of momentous occasions in the match went to us. We were the only side to create chances in the match, statistically. There were only 6 momentous occasions in the match, and 4 of them went to Beşiktaş. The first 4, they didn't even wake up until the 86th minute, which could have been by design in theory, but regardless, I thought Karaveli actually had the boys stand up pretty well. They looked pretty good against Konya, which is not easy to do in and of itself. And then obviously winning in the cup is important. Wasn't a pretty match by any stretch. Although, everyone, it's do or die, right? So everyone's going to bring their A game for that kind of a match. Altay was tough. We won in the end. We also, right, there were 3 sort of momentous occasions this one, and 2 of them went Beşiktaş's way. They didn't really produce much of a chance at all. Credit to the Montero/Serdar Saci backline. I mean, that was exciting. That was the backline of the future, at least on paper. And, a clean sheet with Ersin in goal. We haven't had a clean sheet in quite a while, so it's interesting that happened with our young pair on the backline. Anyway, we'll be back with more match analysis and all of that to talk about the Rizespor match. And I suppose the Super Cup match briefly, but I'm not going to belabor that either. What I will say, of course, is Happy New Year's, folks. Let's hope this is a good year. Let's hope certainly that it's better than the last for the planet Earth, as far as pandemics and people getting sick and people dying and, all the other stuff that's having all the sectarian violence and hatred out there. I hope 2022 is a good year for all of us. Here's to that, right? Crossing my fingers. Cheers of the champagne. That was me just flicking my cup of water, to be honest. It's not quite New Year's here yet. Happy New Year's, folks. Very briefly, I want you listeners to tell me your feedback on this. Who was your man of the year, player of the year? I guess it could be the coach if you want to give it to the coach. What was your match of the season? Right? And then finally, what was your goal of the season? I'm going to answer the first 2, just in the spirit of giving of this holiday season. No, I mean, I haven't really thought on the goal enough to really have a good answer for anyone on that. But, yeah, I mean, I can certainly go over my matches of the season, or match of the year, rather, and I can talk about my player of the season. I've deliberated. I actually, I think a lot of people would assume this would be fairly easy. In the end, I don't think it was. Certainly it wasn't for me. But my man of the season ended up being none other than Rashid Ghazal. Great season for him. Became a full-time Beşiktaş player. Put in the year of his life. He actually, it turns out, should have had the most assists in this first half of this season, and was, hurt by profligate striking, if you will. But so yeah, that for me has to be our player of the year. Shouts to Joseph de Souza, of course, and like honorary mention to Ersin Destanoğlu, maybe as well. Finally, my match of the year is a controversial one, but the vibes that we all got off it, were fantastic. I think this is the moment where we started to feel like champions. Beşiktaş defeating Hatayspor 7-0 and just letting it rip. Adem Ljajic was back in the lineup contributing. Kyle Larin was scoring those crazy goals for us. Just a fantastic season all around. Apologies for the ambulance. Yeah, just goals all over the place. Adem Ljajic back in the lineup and doing great, actually. Just goals abound, right? Like, you had everyone contributing. Kyle Larin scoring a ton. Own goals. I mean, sort of. Ghazal's goal, where Akintola sent it in, was really all about Ghazal. Kyle Larin adding the second and the third. Nkudu giving us the fourth, right? It's always good to see his celebrations are always next level. Ridvan contributing with the fifth. Yeah, I mean, just again, Kyle Larin getting the hat trick in the end. The blemish, of course, was Gökhan Töre injuring himself for the season at that point, and he had been helping us quite a bit as a contributor. But yeah, at the end of the day, that was a fantastic match, 7-0 against Hatay. That really solidified the league for us, and then every goal ended up being key in the
National hopes you enjoyed this program.